Do you crave more? More aliveness, more fun, more pleasure, more power, more purpose. Welcome to Yes Woman, the show for women who know you are here for more. I'm Karen Rockhind, CEO of the Institute of Women. With my master's degree in positive psychology, I have helped tens of thousands of women say yes to their biggest dreams and truest desires. Here we have real conversations to stop pretending and to start saying what we want. Yes to the dreams we've delayed. Yes to the voice you've quieted. Yes to the wealthy, healthy, sexy life we crave. Yes, woman, welcome to the show. So a couple of years ago, I'm out to dinner with friends, and one of them looks over at the bar and she's like, "What is she wearing? Is that woman crazy? She can't wear that." And so I look over, and the only person I see at the bar, the only woman I see at the bar, is this beautiful woman. She has this like flowing curly hair. She's wearing this midriff top. It's like tight. It's white. It's got gold. Her whole outfit to the nines. Stunning. And I'm like, her? Now, meanwhile, the other women I'm with are talking about like, she can't wear that. And like, says who? So I totally interrupt the conversation. I'm like, I think she looks amazing. She's so confident. Like, yeah, she's gorgeous. So my friends clearly were living by and repeating a standard of what women are supposed to be. And it's not just in how we look. This gets replicated everywhere we can look. When I was leaving my corporate job to go back to graduate school, to pursue my dream, I just shared in the last episode about how I became this woman who kept saying yes to herself. And a piece is that I had been robbed at gunpoint. And after that, I was like, I have to say yes to my dreams. I have to say yes to myself. I've almost lost my life. Like, this is imperative. What are we living for if not to be alive, right? And so I got to that moment where I was shaking in my boots, saying to my parents, I'm going to leave my 6-figure job. This is probably how I said it. I'm going to leave my 6-figure job, and I'm really scared, and I don't know, but I feel like I need to do this. And my dad, bless his soul, may he rest in peace, he said to me, "That is the stupidest decision I have ever heard. Are you crazy? You're going to leave this 100,000 plus job. You're going to leave these mentors that you've made. You're going to leave this community. Are you crazy?" And I really thought I was crazy. It's the same thing as when I was married to my beautiful lawyer husband, who's a good guy. There's nothing wrong with him. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? It's almost like when a woman has an idea that is different than what the rest of society says she's supposed to be, we think we've gone mad. But maybe then what the world needs are more mad women. And I don't mean angry, although there certainly is a lot to be angry about in the world. I mean, where you are in a madness. Like, we just completed March Madness, go blue. Like, I'm a University of Michigan fan, and literally Michigan just won the national championships. And like, that's not an anger thing, March Madness, right? It's like the madness, the fun, the creativity of all these teams that are against each other and that are for each other and that are, it's like it's so much all in one month. And it makes me wonder, like, what if us women just decided we were going to have a time to kind of go mad? We were going to have a time to go, quote unquote, crazy. Because here's what happens. When a woman suppresses any part of herself, she becomes depressed. Let me repeat that. When a woman suppresses any part of herself, she becomes depressed. So like a client of mine who she's autistic, and she knew it her whole life. And so being on the spectrum, she thought that there were rules about who she was supposed to be, how she was supposed to be, what she was allowed to do and what she was not allowed to do, right? Like that there were some things in life, maybe falling in love, maybe like, I'm trying to remember all the things that her family told her that were for her and not for her. But when she came to me and we started working together, and what came out as we started like going deep into who inspires her and what her juicy, delicious ideas are, she wanted to be a model. It was like, yes, sister, you get to be a model. Let's talk about that. She wanted to live abroad. She's like, I can't live abroad. She was working at a local retail shop. Like, what do you mean you can't live abroad? People had told her who she was supposed to be, how she was supposed to be, what box she was supposed to fit in because of this label. Well, as we started exploring it deeper and deeper, and what was possible, and instead of saying, well, you can't do that, looking at, well, how can you? She didn't have kids. She was able to do this. She ended up getting her certification in English as a second language. She ended up learning how to be a virtual assistant. She went to Korea. She totally ended up modeling. Like she would glam up. She started wearing makeup. She started changing her clothing. She felt so sexy. She felt so beautiful. And why not? Like, why not? Was she crazy to go to Korea? No, that's like the most sane thing I've ever heard. For her to follow her actual dreams, her actual desires, the thing that like really turns her on and lights her up actually is sanity. It's just that other people had labeled what is crazy and what isn't. Another client of mine, when she was young, she was like really like into stars and rainbows, and she was loud and she was fun. And her mom was constantly like, tone it down, tone it down, tone it down. No, maybe her mom had migraines. I don't know. Okay, this is not mom bashing. I'm a mom. I know that my child's going to have his own stuff to deal with based on me as he grows older, right? Therapy bill, the whole thing. But my client then learned to tone it down. And what happened when she toned it down? She suppressed the quote unquote crazy in her. She suppressed that, like the mad in her. And one definition of mad could be angry. But one definition of mad is like the enthusiasm, the fun, the turn on, right? And so she suppressed that all. Now, what happens when we suppress? What happens when we suppress is we become depressed. Think about it. You suppress. If you have always wanted, like one of my clients had always wanted to be a writer, always wanted to be a writer. So she found herself, she would run book clubs for like, her friends. She found herself, she worked kind of on the periphery. She wrote technical stuff, but what she wanted was to write fiction. And she was so afraid and so afraid and so afraid. So she suppressed that part of her. And then she ends up, now was she like, when I say depressed, I'm not saying necessarily that these women were clinically depressed. I'm talking about that they were not in their aliveness, that they were not in their like fullness, that they knew that they were here for more. Maybe what the world needs are more women who have gone quote unquote mad, more women who have gone quote unquote crazy. Because if being normal means we have to be palatable all the time, means that you have to be quiet and demure, means you have to be ladylike. Like, what the fuck is ladylike anyway? I am sure people would say it is not ladylike for me to be doing this podcast in my silk robe. I am sure of it. It is not ladylike for me to have a beautiful painting of a naked woman behind me. But why not? You can go to any museum and find beautiful paintings of naked women everywhere. And what is ladylike anyway? We've been told, we've been sold that to be a proper woman, to be a good woman, you are supposed to self-sacrifice. You are supposed to put yourself last. That to be a good woman, you are supposed to abandon your inner truth. You are supposed to settle. To be a good woman. Now, this comes from the generations before us. It was only in the 1860s that a husband could put his wife into a mental institution, institutionalize her for being quote unquote crazy just because he felt she should be, just because he wanted her to be. There's an incredible book. I interviewed the author in the first season that I did when it was Purpose Girl podcast. If you want to go back and listen, the book is called The Woman They Could Not Silence. Such a great book. And it's about this woman who disagreed with her husband. She was a mother. She had many children. She, was a good woman, good mother, but she disagreed with her husband about church, about roles, about responsibilities. She had an opinion. And what did he do? he institutionalized her. For years, she ended up in a mental institution where anything she tried to say about why she didn't belong here, they use that as evidence of why she was crazier, why she was so a mad woman. Oh, you're just a mad woman. You're mad at your husband, angry, and you're mad. You've gone crazy. But she actually, the story is so incredible because when she did get out of that horrible institution, she spent the rest of her life in the courts and in the system, changing the system so that husbands were not allowed to put their wives into mental institutions anymore. That was not a thing. And if that's what it means to be mad, to be a mad woman, then we need more mad women. Can you imagine a world where Harriet Tubman didn't exist? People probably thought, people who knew her knew what she was doing. Maybe her own family thought, she's gone mad, she's gone crazy, she's going to get hurt. We need her. People, I'm sure, thought Rosa Parks had gone crazy, had gone mad. She's sitting on this bus. She's not supposed to be sitting in the place where she is in the bus. She's supposed to move back. Has she gone mad? Or the women who have been on the front lines to ensure voter rights, to ensure LGBTQ plus rights. We can look, women who have been on the front lines for education, equality for all. Women. Have they gone mad because we want to vote? I cannot even believe this, but a woman that I know literally recently, maybe a month or two ago, posted about some woman who was totally crazy. She gives some example, and that's why women shouldn't be allowed to vote. Like, what? Are you joking with me? Should I point out every man who has a temper? Should I point out every man who goes against the rules? Should I point out one person and in any religion, race, nationality, and say all people are like that? Of course not. That's really honestly probably a different topic, but it just came to me because we've decided that women who don't fall in line are mad. Women who don't fall in line are crazy. But let's imagine for a moment a world with more women who've gone mad. Can we imagine for a moment, a world where more women go crazy? Can you even imagine your life? So let's talk about when you're following the rules, when you're doing what you're supposed to, when you're being a good woman, when you're and by the way, there's what other people tell us. And then there is what is so ingrained. There's what is so now part of your nervous system that you might not even be aware of it. All you know is a dull ache. All you know is kind of maybe the desire to really go out there with a business and go for it all the way and be making all of your own money. Or maybe what's really in you, you've done great in corporate, and what's really in you is this yearning to break free and retire and travel. What's really in you is to transition your leadership. One of my clients, she did incredible in corporate, has totally transitioned her leadership into nonprofit, into supporting people who want to make a difference in the world. This is what's possible when we unleash. But your nervous system may be so accustomed to the fear of being institutionalized. Your nervous system might be so accustomed to the fear of going against the grain, the fear of rocking the boat. One of my clients, bless her heart, and I don't mean that in the when you're like, oh, bless her heart. I mean literally I want the universe to bless her. Because we worked together to get so clear on what lights her up. And she left our coaching feeling so good, so alive. She joins a group program. She gets so clear on her creative direction, on where she's going, and then got stuck in an application of putting it out. And the program was over. And I'm like, let's continue. I cannot let you go like this. And she became so afraid. No, it wasn't her that was afraid to implement. It was the years of being told who she's supposed to be. It was what her mother, her grandmother, her great-grandmother had been told about being a creative, about putting your spark out into the world, about the unsafety, about the instability of artists. So this is what we experience. We think that anything that goes against the grain, that we think that that's crazy, that that's gone mad. And then we're not even aware of it. Has this ever happened to you where you just become frozen? One of my clients came to me. She was so aware. She's here to be a coach. She's here to help others. She's like, so, but then she's like, I can't do it. I can't. So as we went deeper into what is it and got into her voice and the voice that wanted to come out, she, her whole life had seen the women who looked like her be silent. She thought she was mad. She thought she was crazy for wanting to speak up, and she couldn't even place her finger on it. She just knew, like, her body became frozen. Well, our body freezes, right? The stress response, fight, flight, freeze. You could fawn. But that freeze response is like you suddenly think that your brain says we're helpless. We can't do anything. It just doesn't let us move through. But when you actually start realizing that going mad, quote unquote, that a little bit of madness, a little bit of fun, a little bit of, right? What's that song? Now I'm starting to sing it. Little bit of Monica in my life. Like a little bit of fun, a little bit of mad, a little bit of crazy, a little bit of outrageousness. Maybe a lot of that is what is needed. Like, think about the greatest books that you read. It is when the woman breaks free and has gone what other people think is crazy, but she ends up in Tuscany with this amazing life. And it's like, oh, wait, that was actually the most sane thing imaginable. Or you see a movie and it's like, oh no, right? People are telling her, you can't do that. You can't get that divorce. You can't leave that abusive partner. You can't, right? The job, the whatever it is. She ends up in this bad place. And it's like, you're waiting for your heroine to realize that her crazy ideas, that going what everybody else thinks is mad, is actually the most sane thing. What I have learned, I used to really look at like Madonna. Right. I grew up in the Like a Virgin days, right, in the 80s. And it was like, wow, here is a woman who others maybe think has gone mad. She grew up near me, actually, in a suburb of Detroit. And I imagine that her like friends from middle school are like, what is she? What? But she's in her full expression as an artist. She broke the chain so many times. Right. She set the trend for someone like Lady Gaga to be able to come in. And then Lady Gaga sets the trend is the wrong word, like break the chains, trailblazing, right? And then Lady Gaga can come through and like, right, in this outrageousness. And then the next, and then the next. We see it with Beyonce. We see so many different incredible singers push the edge and push the edge and push the edge. We see mathematicians, we see scientists, we see astronauts, we see runners push the edge. People used to think it's impossible to do a 5-minute mile, and then once one person did it, all of a sudden dozens more were able to do it. Now thousands are able to do it. We believe that we have this edge, and we have to be mad enough, crazy enough to believe that there is more. And every woman, not if you are with me, every woman I know actually wants more. And it doesn't necessarily mean more house. Maybe it does. For some, it means more money. For some, it doesn't. But it means you want more in your life. You want more aliveness, more joy, more sexual satisfaction, more money, more wealth, more self-allowance, more self-trust. And if the world has told you that you should suppress all of that, if you have come to believe that it is mad to want that it is crazy to want that, then you're going to keep suppressing and suppressing, or at least not coming fully. So I used to look at Madonna like, oh my, like, yes, right? Like I wanted to be like a virgin, right? I have no voice. But I knew, I shuffled it away in the back of my mind, like, oh, that's how you like really make waves. So many people, Like I had a client who'd be like, I don't want to rock the boat. And it's like, sister, you got to rock the boat. It doesn't mean that the boat is going to tip over. But if you're not happy on the waters that you're on, if you know that there is more, yes, it might feel unmoored. We literally kept going with this analogy. It might feel unmoored. And that's why you think you've gone mad. But what if you literally could elevate your marriage? You don't have to leave it. What if you bring a whole new flavor? What if you bring your desires? What if you bring new communication tools? I have helped so many women do this. You haven't got mad. You're here for more. Or in career. And the ideas that you have, the dreams that you have. We cannot change this world. We cannot save this world. We cannot contribute to the world unless we have great income, unless we have great wealth, unless we have leadership, unless we are the leaders. That is the ticket. That is the key. But as long as your nervous system, and listen, mine is the same. Like this is literally work I have to do all the time because I'm constantly working with myself to be that self-embodied, to be that Madonna, to be right. For some, it's like there was Madonna. And at the same time as Madonna, I grew up in Detroit. There was Dennis Rodman. Like he shows up one year, he was a Detroit Piston basketball player. And he had, I would say, like a quote unquote normal average haircut and a quote unquote, like, I don't know, looks like a basketball player. And then one season he shows up and his hair is orange. This is before everybody, like now everybody dyes their hair, right? But before that is years ago. This is probably 30 years ago. And his hair is orange. He's got all these tats. And like he unleashed his wild. And we see this. And some people think that those people have gone crazy. You know, here's the thing. It's because we all want to belong. It is a human behavior. Psychologically, your brain is designed to want to be part of the tribe. Your brain is designed to want to be accepted and approved of. And if you've got any indication that you wouldn't be approved of if you dyed your hair orange or you tatted up or you changed your identity like Madonna, kept being on the edge, or if you wouldn't give up your seat on the bus like Rosa Parks, if your nervous system is so afraid that you're going to die if you do the quote unquote mad thing, then your nervous system will do everything in her power to have you just stay put. But then you start noticing that you're dying a slow death inside. You start noticing you no longer feel alive, that your eyes are dull. You start noticing. Maybe it's more than start. I mean, my experience was going on a lot of medication. I am not against mental medication. But when I was counting on it, as opposed to looking inside at myself, it's huge. Because I'm not a conventional person. There's like a part of me. It's so funny that my name is Karen, but spelled in this funny way, because there's a part of me that I love cooking dinner. I love making like Thanksgiving dinner, and I love like being a Jewish wife and being a Jewish mom. And like, I love things looking so and looking beautiful. And like, so there's a part of me that's quote unquote conventional. And then there's this part of me that's like leather wearing. And I'm like, let's go ride on the back of a motorcycle. And I'm like getting 100 women in a room to like stand on their chairs and yell yes to life, and teaching women. I literally teach women how to do lap dances. Like, so the full range. As well as being like a divine, like I lead sacred ceremony. And you might think, oh my God, I'm crazy. I have like 10 of me. Or you might think listening to me that I'm crazy. Carina, you're crazy. You've got 10 of you inside. But what if it's actually the opposite? What if it's just in this, there's an old way to woman. We've been taught this old way, which is to self-abandon. We've been taught this old way, which is to disconnect. We've been taught and we've come to believe in our nervous systems that this old way to woman, where you get stuck, you allow the self-sabotage, and it's not your fault. It is not your fault, sister. Like, it is not my fault. Not our fault. But that is the old way to woman. And there is a much better way. It is the new way to woman. And the new way to woman is an absolute connection and alignment with yourself. It is an expression of all pieces and parts of you. It is an unleashing. It is an allowing. It is a little bit mad and a little bit crazy, but here's how you're not going to be left out in the cold. When you are in that, you're in that bigness, you're in that fullness, you're at the edge with other women who are also at the top of the mountain, also on their edge, also, right? That's why I love, 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 love my W women, because we're in it together. We're at that edge. We're like, yes, yes, yes. And you're not alone, sister. I'm holding you. You belong here. Because as long as you're around other women who are also at their edge, who are also writing their books, who are also like, yes, I'm also going for that $3 million a year. Yes, I'm also taking piano lessons and song. And yes, I'm also spicing up my marriage. I'm also saying, yes, I'm also a yes woman. And you don't feel alone. Instead, you have your soul sisters and your buddies and your slumber party mates for life. And it's the greatest feeling on the planet. And so what I want to leave you with today is this concept of more madness. More, all caps. What more is calling you? And even then looking, when I say that, what comes up in your body? Can you love and take care of those parts? And then what if we cranked up the madness just 1% each day? What would be one thing that's out of character? One thing that's at the edge? One thing that helps you step into this new way? I am going to be announcing soon something so fun for all of us to help each of us do that 1% each day. You're going to want to stay tuned. I cannot wait for this. With that, my love, thank you for listening. If you loved this episode as much as I love doing it, go ahead and hit 5 stars right below wherever you're listening. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. That helps more women find us. If you're here on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit download. The more downloads everywhere, the more subscribes everywhere, it gets more and more and more women to say yes to themselves. And that's really how we change the world, one woman at a time. Share this with your book club women. Instead of a book club, make a podcast club. Share this with every woman you know. We are changing the world. With that, my love, may you love yourself. May you live for more. May you be a little bit mad and create a life you are absolutely obsessed with. Bye for now.